And now an opening statement from the defendant.
He didn't stop, he didn't swerve, he didn't even honk his horn. Chris Allman is the legal cause of Rebecca McGee's death. Today the plaintiff has brought suit against the school board for negligence for the death of Rebecca McGee. On that day, on October 8th, it started like a normal school day, but it was a day that put the elementary school in trouble. They had a few of the bus drivers call out sick, and Chris Allman decided to help out the school when he was asked to drive a bus. He's a PE teacher. He had never driven a bus before, but he went to an experienced bus driver, got a map, and went on his route. Each route along Route 7, he made stop after stop through a residential area with a lot of homes. Each stop went just as planned. He opened the door, he put out the stop sign, the flashing lights, the kids got off the bus, into their parents' arms, and safely home. But towards the end of the route, at Route 7, there were just two girls left on the bus, Rebecca McGee and her younger sister. And he looked at the map, he was a little confused where the stop was as it was hand-drawn and there was just an X on there. But Rebecca McGee, the 12-year-old, reassured him, "You can let us out right here." So he trusted her, opened the door, and she got out. It wasn't until she started to walk out in front of traffic that he realized the danger of the situation, and he yelled, "Stop, don't walk." As she walked out into traffic, the unexpected happened. A black SUV came speeding down the street, made no attempt to swerve, to honk, or to stop his car. He slammed on his brakes, but didn't stop in time. Rebecca McGee hit the front of his car, rolled up onto his hood, and hit the windshield. Then her young body flew across the street, her shoes flew off her feet, and her backpack ripped from her body. He hit her with such force that she flew all the way across the street. That unforeseeable event does not mean that the school board breached their duty of care. They had a duty that day to make sure the students were safe while in their custody at school and on the bus, and they did just that. The unfortunate but unforeseen event of Dana Dalton speeding recklessly, carelessly, not paying attention, hitting Rebecca, and her walking out into the roadway is an unforeseeable event that shows you can't plan for the unforeseen. Today you're going to hear from different witnesses. The plaintiff is going to call Detective Corey Jackson, who is the lead detective that day. Detective Jackson will give you facts about the accident scene. He'll tell you that there were no cars on the right lane or the left lane of Dana Dalton. There's nothing preventing him from swerving. He'll tell you the measurements of the skid marks were 32 feet pre-collision and a lot more, 54 feet after the collision, indicating that he stopped right at the last minute and sped off past hitting her. Detective Corey Jackson will also tell you, given Dana Dalton's bloodshot eyes and erratic driving behavior, he failed to perform a sobriety test. Corey Jackson will also admit that he has no pictures of the accident, the damage to the car that I just described, because his camera malfunctioned. He'll also admit that while there were 3 witnesses there, he didn't talk to all of them. As lead detective, he failed in getting a statement from all the witnesses that were there. And then you'll hear from the driver himself, Dana Dalton, who will tell you there's absolutely no way he had time to stop, that it just happened spur of the moment. Even though Rebecca McGee and her sister were standing on the median and crossed a full lane of traffic before he hits her in the center lane. Then we'll tell you our side of the story by calling our witnesses, the driver of the school bus, Chris Allman. He'll explain how he may not have been the best choice for a school bus driver, not the most qualified, didn't have the right license. He did his duty of keeping the kids safe on the school bus. When he dropped her off, based on her misrepresenting where her bus stop was, there were no parents in sight. He didn't see the parents on either side of Waters. So even though it was a wrong bus stop, there were no parents there to get her. He watched carefully as she crossed the road and did everything he could to prevent this accident by calling out for her to stop. He'll tell you that Rebecca McGee ignored this warning, even the warning of her younger sister to stop, and said, he'll stop, the driver, and walked out into the road anyways. And then we'll have another witness, Terry Escobar, tell you that as they were driving along Waters, she witnessed Dana Dalton speeding driving very erratically, swerving in and out of the lanes, revving his engine at the yellow lights, and on his phone. With all of that witness testimony and the evidence you'll see today, you'll know that the school board was not the cause of the death of Rebecca McGee.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, but I need something else.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Mitchell, I thought you had a really attention-getting start. You know, which I love on an opening. You know, you really want to come out and get the jury's attention. I thought you did a really good job with the descriptive story. I like how you went through the witnesses. You know, you went witness by witness, so it gave me a preview of what they were going to say. I thought it was a really good opening. You also did something that's a good technique. You went ahead and you told me about some bad things that were going to come out for your side. And I think that's very effective. You know, I think you gain some credibility with the jury when you do that, and you're kind of diffusing bombs, you know. It's less dramatic when it comes from you, and you get to put your spin on it. So I thought that was a good technique. I thought, you know, I mentioned before, you kind of want the opening and the closing to sort of match up with each other sometimes. I didn't, on the plaintiff side of the case, I really never felt like I got a theme. And on the defense side, you know, there was some theme there. There was can't see the unforeseeable, and I heard that in opening, and then I heard it in closing, and in closing I kind of heard it at the key parts, the beginning of closing, at the very end of closing. And that's really good. You definitely want to have a theme, and you want the jury to get that theme. So the openings were good. So let's talk about the direct.